You're watching a segment of The Splash, Greater West Bloomfield's news magazine show.
Welcome back to The Splash. I'm your host, Jonathan Jackson, and joining me at the desk this week is director and producer Mike Rott, known widely for his documentary film called The Luft Gangster, Memoirs of a Second-Class Hero, which tells the story of a former U.S. Air Force officer and a Tuskegee Airman from Detroit, Michigan. Mike, thank you again for joining me on the program today.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Not a problem, yeah. Your story that you tell of this Tuskegee Airman, his name is Alex Jefferson. How did you come to meet him, and why did you take on this project?
It was kind of crazy how it happened. My father heard Colonel Jefferson speak at an engagement, and was just so amazed by his story that he said to him after, my son just opened a film studio in Ferndale, Dynasty Media Network. We would like to invite you in and just interview you. We were thinking that we would donate the footage to the Smithsonian or Library of Congress and his family. This was not a big project. This was like, he's amazing. This guy's story needs to be captured. We just want to bring him in and do something, for posterity, because he's walking history. I mean, it's just unbelievable what he's been through. So once he got to the studio and we started talking, I couldn't believe, my dad had already heard it. I couldn't believe what he was saying. Everything he was talking about was just more interesting and more unbelievable than the last thing he said. So finally I was like, time out, Colonel. I said, your life is a movie. We need to think about getting your story out to the broader range of people in the country. There's so much to learn from what he's experienced, all the way going back to World War II, but from before that as a child. And
in fact, actually, I think we do have a clip. Let's show this really quickly right now, a small little preview of the Luft Gangster.
Luft means air. The Germans called American fighter pilots Luft Gangsters, air gangsters. They would depict American fighters as gangsters from a German point of view. To us, we were simply doing our job.
That was just a quick little clip there, but that was Alex Jefferson, as you saw, and he's explaining the meaning behind the title of the film, The Luft Gangster, and what that meant. And I think it's really interesting how, during the war, he was treated so differently, and so in a way not very well, even though for his service to our country. And I'm sure he explained a lot about that, race and diversity in the military. What was it like hearing his story on that? Oh,
it's just unbelievable. And when you think about it, these guys just wanted to fight for their country. And they say, well, there's a very racist period in time in America, and people would say, well, why would you want to fight for this country? You're not treated well here. And they said, well, this is my country. It's my country too, and it's going to treat me right. And they just wanted to fight. They wanted to join the effort. And he battled racism not only at home but abroad, ironically, fighting the Nazis, which was truly a good versus evil war.
Definitely,
yeah. And upon his return, he was welcomed back to America, unfortunately, with whites to the right, N-words to the left, when he got back off of the ship in New York Harbor. So it's just, to put that into context with today, you couldn't even imagine. How would you feel after going over there?
To receive that welcome. And to anybody, it would be, so disheartening. But the thing about Alex, watching the movie, is his positive outlook on life, his attempts to make humor and even make light of such a heavy situation, and that it hasn't gotten him down all these years later. And I'm sure you've experienced that as well in your talks with him.
People just want to hug him. He's such a funny, positive guy.
I want to hug him.
Yeah, I know.
he's a great guy.
You would have no idea that he ever had a bad day in his life. But here's a man who was, from childhood, he dealt with racism in neighborhoods in Detroit, going to school racism, fighting in a segregated military racism, fighting the Nazis, being shot down, held as a prisoner of war by the Nazis. He's been through it. He's been an eyewitness to Dachau concentration camp right after his POW camp was liberated. So he's seen and been through it all, but you would just never know it when you meet him.
Wow, that's unbelievable. And I think another thing, too, that's so amazing about him is after, he's 93 years, is it 93 or 90?
95 now.
95 now, I'm sorry, 95 years old. and which is unbelievable too because he's so active and he's still going out there doing these events and talking with people, which is great.
He doesn't fly anymore. That's pretty hard on him.
True, yeah. No.
But he has. After the war, he was a Detroit public schools teacher for 35 years, math and science. And he marched in the civil rights movement. He has spoke at churches and synagogues and national events all the way up to the Congressional Gold Medal ceremony in 2007 where the Tuskegee Airmen as a unit were awarded the Congressional Gold Medal, one of the nation's highest honors.
Unbelievable. Wow. So, Mike, too, I guess I want to talk a little, too, about the making of the film and also your involvement because another thing, too, you're from you from West Bloomfield. You live here now currently. And you made this film with your father, which is amazing to me as well because, you hear most times sons and fathers work on maybe like the car or the roof, but to make a film with your dad has to be amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, I come from a showbiz family. Mom was a singer on Decca Records under the stage name Vicki Carroll. She had some top 40 hits and traveled all over the place singing. And Dad was a band leader, but he got his start in the record business. He worked with Capitol Records, and he promoted the Beatles on the very first wave of the British invasion. And he tells me a story how there were six or seven of the guys. So they got a white label from EMI over in London, and they put this 45 on a record, and they would get white labels all the time. So they're listening to it, and they all look at each other and say, "It's a hit. What is this?" And the name of the song was "I Want to Hold Your Hand" by the Beatles. So he was on the very, very first wave. We have photos with him and the Beatles at a press conference and all kinds of stuff. It's
wow.
But Dad scored most of the music on the film.
Okay.
So he's a very, very talented musician.
That's
Taught
great
at Wayne State music.
Well, Mike, thank you again for coming by today.
Thank you
I really
so much,
appreciated meeting
it's
you.
It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate it.
This is a great interview. I'm so glad to have you here. Everyone, once again, Mike Rott, director, producer, filmmaker. He's made this excellent film that I recommend highly you all go see. You can watch it on Comcast, iTunes, Amazon, Vimeo, YouTube. Google. There's so many different ways to watch this film. Go ahead and take a look at it. It's a great documentary. It's got a great story and just a great all-around person in it. That's just an amazing individual. So, yeah, check it out, everyone. Thank you so much, Mike.
Thanks, Jonathan. Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching a segment of The Splash. To catch the entire show or other segments, watch us on Comcast Channel 15 or AT&T Channel 99. Or look us up online at thesplash.tv and listen to us on WBLD 89.3, the all-new Lakes FM.